Hey everyone, just wanted to create one last video for the day. Kind of having a rough day and just medical stuff going on and life stuff. But wanted to just decompress the kit, and also I enjoy talking, just given the reasons that I love drumming, and thank you to everyone who gives the comments and support, especially of the kiddos. And YouTube automatically made Nathan's piano video a children's video, so comments were disabled, and even though I put that it wasn't made for kids and not to restrict it, YouTube went ahead and restricted it anyway. So unfortunately, comments can't be left under his video. But I did put a comment on the very next video saying that if people wanted to give comments regarding Nathan, it's on my video of drummers that I like. So that's what happened with that video. But anyway, I just, no matter what's happening in our lives, it's always nice to have the drums or our instrument of choice to go to decompress, have that kind of meditative experience, kind of check out of your head, and you're using more of your sensory perception rather than, I close my eyes when I play. It's just kind of a natural thing for me, and then also just knowing where my hands are going in space. And then I found too that when you cut off this sensory, then your tactile senses and your auditory senses are enhanced. I guess maybe it's kind of like being blind. I can't say, I don't have any experience with that, but I've just heard other people that I've met and friends that are blind that their sensory perception is much more enhanced because they're lacking the visual perception. So same thing kind of applies with music, and then that way, if you close your eyes, then you're basing what you're hearing and what you're feeling and where your hands are going in space. And because it's all about motion, right? They call drummers poets of motion. I don't know if people have heard that saying before, but poets of motion, because it's all up-down motion, right? We're just controlling the up-down motion. It's just a matter of learning how to control that up-down motion when things are stacked, when things are linear, when things are syncopated, when things are a combination of those three. When our hands fall together, when they don't, and then our bass drum coming down at different times. Sometimes it stacks, sometimes it doesn't. So that's the independence part of it. That's really important to develop. And I'm a firm believer in practicing your hat licks and using your foot for your hat. Because if you play double bass drum pedal all the time, double bass is really cool for a lot of things. But if you never play hat stuff with your foot, you're not. That's why you see drummers tapping their heel, because we're burying the pulse of what the song is, and this is basically our only body part that doesn't make noise on the kit, right? Our left heel stomping, you might hear just a little bit of a stomp sound, but you're not hearing the actual sound of the chick, or if you stomp your heel with your bass drum, you're gonna hear a bass drum note, right? So that's why you see drummers doing that, and why they're da, 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 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's why drummers do that and tapping their heel. Now, developing the hi-hat independence is really important, and it's difficult at first because it'll be new if you haven't tried it before. But it's very important to learn how to keep that independence going, because much of the band will be following your hat. They're not going to be following your 16ths of your double bass drum. They're going to be following the pulse of the song. And I've been in many situations where I see the band, and what are they looking at is the hi-hat. They're looking at my heel, and they're looking at what the hi-hat is doing to know what the pulse is, right? And you can play 16ths with one foot if you just practice it. So it's more of a feathering motion, kind of like when we were in class and we would kind of bounce our foot, See, I'm playing at 16ths with one foot, okay? And then you can learn how to play 16ths while playing quarter notes. So you can do both, right? So then that way you can do one hand. That way you're playing the hat too, which will keep everyone anchored and all that. So anyway, I just wanted to explain the reason that I'm a firm believer in we got to keep that pulse going, because that's what we're burying internally, and we call it relative perfect time, because a metronome has perfect time, right? Because it's a computer, so it's perfect. It's always going to have perfect time. Since we're human, we breathe, we have emotions, we get excited, we get depressed, we get joyful, we get caught up in the song, we start rushing, that kind of stuff. So what we have is relative perfect time as human beings, but developing that relative perfect time is really going to help when you use that hat, okay? Because that hat is either going to keep 2 and 4 or quarter notes for you, and depending on the time signature you're playing and all that stuff. But a lot of music, especially groove tunes, especially jazz, all that stuff relies heavily on the hi-hat as I hit the snare on accident. So, all of your boom chicks, all that stuff, that's all hat dependent. A lot of times you won't even hear the bass drum in those figures. So it'll be 1 and 2, right? And that's your spang-a-lang, 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 spang-a-lang. And you want to really work on having that good phrasing, because that takes a little while to develop too. And then we call it dropping bombs in jazz. So that's where you're hearing an occasional bass drum note, like a... And I'm putting that extra chick in there, so I'm not put 1, 2, I'm doing that on purpose, because that way it says it's got kind of a different feel to it, like a chick, like a kind of like a that kind of a thing. But it's really important to develop that, because then once you get the hat going, you can play the hat notes without your hands, and you can play quarters or you can play eighths, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, so you can do both. And if you just think of matching your hand with eighths, that's a good way to learn it at first. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then you can go back to eighth notes. 1 and 2 and slushing it. So with the foot, there's so much control within the hat. All the tension that you put on is going to change the sound dynamics and profile of it. I have these rattles up here, which also changes the sound profile of it. So I'll take those off so you can hear the difference here. And just by me tapping my foot to the pulse, you'll hear that is heard within the hi-hat. So this is without any, tapping of the foot. Now I'm going to start tapping my foot. So see, and also it changes the characteristics of the sound, but also if you just tap those at the right time in quarter notes, you will always do a pea soup at the right time, because your foot will already be raising and closing at that proper time within that rhythm. Hopefully that makes sense. But if you're doing something like... however many open close, you call open close. We call them pea soups. That's just kind of inside drummer talk, because it sounds like pea soup. Pea soup, pea soup, pea soup. So we call it pea soups. But open closed, okay? So getting those in, really important to develop that. And what I found is that in any warm-up I do, if I'm playing 16ths, if I'm playing paradiddles, if I'm playing doubles, keeping that hat going at all times. So instead of using your foot on the floor with your bass drum, using your hat to keep your time for you. That kind of thing for sixteenths, or just an example of sixteenths. Oh, and the forearm crusher, I think most people know what that is, but that's single stroke sixteenths, directly followed by double stroke sixteenths, directly followed by a single paradiddle. Now, fantastic exercise. It's meant for cleanliness of notes, technique, and then eventually a speed exercise, okay? So I'll play it nice and slow for you first, but this is an example of something you can play with the hat, keeping your quarter notes for you, okay? So it's 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E doubles, 1 E and a 3 E and a paradiddle, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a back E singles, 1 E and a 2 E and a 4 E doubles, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E diddles. I'm just speeding it up. And then I did start to involve the bass drum because that's another element of adding the independence to it, okay? So forearm crusher, great exercise to practice for your stick control, and we can never practice enough doubles and paradiddles as drummers, right? Your doubles and your paradiddles, many people say most important rudiments of all the international drum rudiments out of there. So practicing your single, double, triple paradiddles, doing the paradiddle pyramid. I don't know if people know what that is, but that's single paradiddle followed into a double paradiddle, into a triple paradiddle, back down to a double paradiddle, back down to a single paradiddle. Okay, all in one stream. So you're doing right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, double, single. You know, and then back up so you can increase the speed. I was playing 2 of each, so that's another great one too, because that way you're getting a little bit more time to play each one. Same thing with the forearm crusher, forearm buster, whatever you want to call it. You can play 2 bars of each of those. So you're playing 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 2 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and then the doubles. And then 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 2 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a paradiddle, 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 1. Okay? Okay, super long video again. It's got some good information though. Hat. Alright? I know lots of schools of thought. Fun to rock out, fun to play with double bass. I started with double bass because of my back problem, and I had a really hard time trying to get my legs to cooperate with me. But what I found was that the more I trained my body and the more I worked at it, and the frustration, and yes, I was very frustrated. It's like, why won't my body work? And come on back and work with me, legs. Come on, I need you to work, kind of thing. But once you figure it out, and you've trained your body to do it, and everything really relaxed, that's the thing. It's like when we go faster, we have the tendency to tighten up, really, our tension, right? Hold our breath sometimes, we forget to breathe. That's the opposite of what you want to do. You want to stay more relaxed the faster you get. You want to practice open strokes because your faster open strokes will allow you to play faster, more relaxed, and then also remembering to breathe, okay? So I'll just play one quick groove just to end the video and with the hat going, okay? playing on the hat, and just because of the tension that I'm putting into it, it changes the sound dynamics of it and kind of gives a little bit different sound profile instead of just a straight. Just freestyle commentary, so of course there's going to be some mistakes, but just giving an example of my philosophy of the hat, and why I think it's so important to train our bodies with that independence, because it's great to play double bass. I have a set of speed cobras myself. I'm playing with a speed cobra right now, the single pedal of the speed cobra, so I have double pedals. Not knocking that at all. I started out with a giant Gretsch Catalina, 8-piece Catalina that I also added drums to. So that's what you see in some of the other videos, is that Gretsch Catalina, and then I also have a Ludwig. So, and some were donated, or I got it really good deals. And this kit I got used. So I got on a trade actually for an electric drum set. So I got a Pearl Masters Custom 90s edition too, so before they changed the plies and the re-rings and all that kind of stuff. But solid maple Masters Custom Pearl on a trade on an electric kit that I paid $400 for, plus a full Gibraltar rack and multiple toms, and he gave me all original A customs too. Original A's, not the newer A's, but all of the original ones. New beats, he gave me new beat hi-hats, and then I bought this snare, which is a Tama, just to match this kit, and because it's all maple and it has wood hoops, and my other drum is brass, is a pork pie. So just quickly show you, I know I put in other videos, but this is a pork pie, big black brass. Then I have the Tama, there's the badge. So Tom SLP, and then I picked this up yesterday for $80. So I got, and yeah, it's a silver sparkle, but it's a limited edition Pearl Superior Shell Technology Edition, and it's birch. So I got a birch shell now. And what I found on here is that it's kind of strange how they design it, because the bearing edge is smoothed out where the snare bed is at. So I have not seen that before, and I've seen many snare drums, but I have not seen one where they have the bearing edge going like literally to here, and then it's from here to here, right in the snare bed, it's flat, and then the bearing edge starts again. So, kind of interesting, but yeah, I just picked that up, still have the price tag on it, but the throw-off switch, it works great. It's like, slides like a charm. So, I don't know, my philosophy, can never have enough snare drums, right? So, this is the Catalina I was talking about. So, anytime you see different combos of drums and all that, it is because I've gone through the evolution of it and played with monster kits, tons of cymbals, double bass drum. I played all my rolls without using my back fingers and played the front of the stick instead of playing the back of the stick like you should. I just didn't know any better, and really I've only been playing now about 5 years, going on 6 years. Um, but we're taught, most people, grip from the front. This is your fulcrum, right? And you're playing the front of the stick. That's improper. So when you're playing the front of the stick, especially if you're leaving your back three fingers out, your rolls are going to sound choppy. And you're trying to play the front of the stick, and the whole point is to control the rebound of it. So what you want to do is you want to have a nice loose grip and play the back of the stick. That's where all of the control is at. And if you play the back of the stick, that's where the rebound is at, and that's where your finger strokes are going to come in at. So playing the front of the stick, that's what people's roll. I hear a lot of rolls sound like that. Because they're just using their fulcrum and playing the front of the stick. Now, all you have to do, just take your front finger away and experiment with it, with the Weckel grip. It forces you to use your back three fingers. Now watch. See, look how. So now you can hear each note, and it's quick, and it takes very little effort. Even triplets, even a four-stroke. So you can do doubles, triplet, and four-stroke all with one hand. And really, it's because I'm using the fulcrum is now in between my fingers, and I'm keeping a nice loose grip. What we tell kids is like you're holding a baby bird, okay? Because they understand that. So you don't want to hold it too tight. You don't want to hurt the baby bird, but you don't want to hold it too loose where it flies out of your hand, okay? So you want to cradle it like you're cradling a baby bird, and you're letting that nice wobble, that teeter-totter motion happen, and that's where the rebound's at. So open stroke, rip. See how I'm playing the back of the stick? Da, instead of... So you don't want to try to be practicing like that. You want to be playing with rebound, and we say pointing at 12 o'clock or towards the sky. You'll have more rebound. Those are legato strokes, so fancy word. Legato just means from here. Staccato means from here. So got staccato notes. That's legato notes. So think L, legato, large or loud. Staccato, S, soft or small. You can think of it, kind of associate it that way. All right, guys, super long video, so I'm sorry about that, but sometimes the lesson videos, they are long, and I have a tendency to kind of ramble as I go through it. But I'm excited about the drums, and I want to share my joy about it, and then explain the reasons for why things are important. It's not just like, oh, well, my way or the highway kind of thing. No, not at all. It's that I've had to be taught the reasons for the importance of all these things myself too, and then realized, oh my goodness, I was playing double bass drum pedal. I never developed my left foot independence, and that's where I'm burying all of my pulse at. So if I can't even bury my correct pulse, and I can't play the hat, which the whole band is looking at to see what the pulse is, then I've got a problem as a drummer. So that's why I started to kind of, less is more. It really is. Less is more, because the less you have, the more you have to work on your chops and your sticking and be more creative with how you use less of what you have. So if you have a giant monster kit, super cool. Not knocking that. That's what I said. I started with that. I still have it. It's just broken down, and I have more of it in shells and stuff, in protective shells. So not knocking large kits. Not knocking hard rock, progressive rock. Some of my favorite bands are progressive rock. Chon is probably my favorite band. CHON. More math rock kind of guys. But not knocking that stuff at all. But what I'm trying to explain is that it is a totally different independence development when you're playing with double bass pedal versus practicing for your independence with playing the hat. So, and the hat is very crucial in a lot of songs. So, there aren't a whole ton of songs that have a lot of double bass unless all you listen to is metal. Then yeah, there's tons of double bass. But the whole rest of the universe of genres of music, the hat is highly, highly involved. Highly involved. So just want to explain, the kind of the evolution I've gone through, and by no means, like I said, is my way the right way or anything. I'm just explaining why we do these things and why I feel the importance of certain things, and then explaining why it's important. Okay, guys? So have fun with however you like to play, and just trying to give a little bit of information on how you can develop your independence a little further. If you feel like you're lacking in a certain area, because I know I sure felt like that. I sure felt like that with my legs, and I was very frustrated. And I was like, man, I'm gonna have to use double bass pedal just to play basic doubles on the bass drum. So and so going through that frustration process, saying, well, I'm never gonna use the hat anyway. So then come to find out, when you start playing groove, when you start playing jazz, when you start playing funk, when you start playing pop, when you start playing every other genre in the universe, the hat is so crucial. And literally the whole band, I've seen this happen more times than I can count, is where the whole band will be, if they're trying to figure out, well, where's beat one, what's the pulse, they look at the drummer's hi-hat, and they look at your heel, and they look at what the pulse is. So they're not looking at, okay, when's he going to play his double bass sixteenths, They're looking at, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, da, 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 da. So, boom, chick, or chick, 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 or eighth notes, chick, 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 chick. So, and then you can play 16th notes with your one bass drum and corner notes with your hi-hat at the same time. I promise it's possible. All right, guys. Love all you. Take care.